Well, so they go and do it. So what? All it is another make-believe game. What they're going to do with this carbon foolishness remains to be seen. And, you just don't know when and how and if they can get that sort of thing passed. It's not something the president can arbitrarily do. So I think you just got to wait and see on that. I mean, I don't have any other answer for it.
Regarding the bank stress test, it was to be kept entirely secret. Bernanke, Goldman Sachs, Summers stated their optimism on economy recently. Therefore, it would seem the results are likely to be stated in the most favorable light, emphasis on the safety net, which is government funds.
Yeah, that's true. Government funds are going to keep on flowing. I should really say taxpayer funds are going to keep on flowing, whether it's from Treasury, which most likely it won't be, but from the Fed. And as long as money is needed to keep the ship afloat, they're going to do that until they're ready to pull the plug. And I don't know when that is, and nobody else does. I think a lot will have to do with when they start their Third World War, because they have to have that war to justify the financial collapse and at the same time get people to think in terms of war and not to worry about the financial and economic situation in the country when the war is bigger than the financial and economic situation. Because in the war, you may die. Your children may die. Your grandchildren may die. And so that's why they start wars. I mean, history is replete with this. This is nothing new. Quote, everybody does it. And, the terrible, terrible, terrible shortcoming of the American people and others as well is ignorance. And Americans are ignorant. 50% of them can't read and write properly. And incidentally, that figure is 40% in Canada, which really startled me. I saw it on a program that we put in last Saturday's International Forecaster in the form of a link. And but anyway, people don't understand, people don't know, and it's hard for them to comprehend.
Banks that fail stress tests and can't raise private funds will be forced to accept government monies on which an owner's 9% dividend per annum will be payable. He hears that there are 20 institutions being examined. Who is gunning for who in the banking industry? Do you think someday the law will be changed so that only the feds can issue a charter for a bank?
Could very well be. I think the very heart of what they're doing here with this system is the Fed is going to supply the money and guarantee the buyers against loss. Now, the buyers will say they're hedge funds and private equity funds. The buyers of paper from others, such as lenders, banks. They will be immunized, if you may. They can't lose money, and they could make up to 20%. They are going to buy the bad paper from J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, etc. The paper that's worth 10 cents on the dollar, and they're going to pay 80 cents for it. Now, mind you, the government's guaranteeing this paper, guaranteeing the buyers against loss. Now, that really means the American taxpayer is going to pay for it. And what they're doing is taking this bad paper at an unrealistic price off of the books of the banks. Now, once that starts, the banks can relieve their balance sheet and then the buyers of the paper will hold it for a long time, 5, 10, maybe 20 years, I don't know. It'll be a long-term investment. But that money is being supplied by government via the Fed. And it's a sweetheart deal. And that's what that program is all about. You know, it's amazing what these people get away with. And it's because the public don't understand. That's why I keep on going on radio, trying to explain to people how they're getting screwed.
Here's an interesting question from Deborah. She works for a company that was losing money last year, and the owner was trying to sell it with no takers. She now heard that they are 100% employee-owned, and the company's stock will be issued to employees as a retirement plan. They knew nothing about this. They have no say in the running of the company, but the company can borrow money on this stock, and, of course, no proceeds will be paid out until the debt is paid. What is really happening here, she wants to know.
Well, they're taking whatever ownership in the company is owned by employees, and they're hypothecating it. They're using it as collateral on loans that they're receiving so they don't go out of business. That's what it sounds like to me. Kind of sketchy, but that's my guess.
She also heard on NPR radio that Huckabee is pushing for a VAT tax. Then this, I guess she saw a headline where Obama was talking about changing the tax code. And she knows that this has been on the UN agenda for many years. Please comment.
Well, a VAT tax in Europe right now, I think they're 17-18%. And it's an extraordinarily onerous tax. It's terrible because you're taxing something that's already been taxed at 3 or 4 or 5 stages of production, whether it's a good or a service. And, you know, the best kind of taxation, if there must be taxation, and if we had tariffs, we wouldn't need taxation because everybody else from someplace else would be paying money into the government and they'd be able to fund what they wanted to do via that. But the best answer to that is a flat tax. And, you know, the number varies. But one thing the flat tax would do would be to equalize taxation, and it would cause investment.
You think they really will ever change it to a flat tax?
We don't know what's going to happen to the government. And I rather think there's going to be a revolution. So they'll get a change one way or the other.
800-375-4188. We'll be back on Friday, so make sure you join us. Until then, be safe, have a great day, and God bless. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.